Shalom everybody, I'm Rolene Marks and this is the Israel Brief where you guys join me every Monday to Thursday to look at those top stories making the headlines in Israel. As always, we are brought to you in conjunction with these guys, Lay of the Land. And you know, when I speak in media around the world, and last night I was speaking in the US, some of the feedback I get is that people don't hear enough about the situation on the ground in Israel. So this is your first address for the news from Israel, from a journalist that is operating on the ground in Israel. And it's important, especially in light of the massive mis- and disinformation campaigns against the state of Israel in the mainstream media, that you get the facts for yourself. And you can find them right here, unfiltered and absolutely free. Now today is day 571 since the 7th of October. There are still 59 hostages that remain in captivity in the Gaza Strip. Now we'll elaborate a little bit later in the broadcast, but we are on the eve of Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day for fallen soldiers and victims of terror. And every year I think to myself that this year is going to be the hardest year, but I think that this year in particular is going to be excruciating. In the years since last year's Memorial Day, we have more fallen soldiers, we have more victims of terror, and of course the hostages that have been murdered and recovered in captivity. We can't forget the beautiful six: Hirsch, Carmel, Eden, Almog, Ori, and Alexander, and those whose remains were returned in phase 1 of the ceasefire. Shiri and her 2 beautiful flame-haired baby boys, Oded Lifshitz, and so many others. Every year I think it can't be more painful, but I think this year is going to be agony. Now, with that said, let's take a look at those top stories, and we begin with a statement earlier today from the Hostages and Missing Families Forum, who are expressing their concern that deceased hostages, that their remains may no longer be recognizable or recoverable. Now, if you recall, out of the 59 hostages that remain captive, 24 are believed to still be alive and 35 deceased. 34 of those were taken on the 7th of October or murdered in captivity, and one, Hadar Golden, a soldier who fell in Operation Protective Edge in 2014. Hamas has been holding onto his remains since then. We want to bring them all home for a dignified burial. And family members have expressed their grave distress that their loved ones may not have a grave to be laid to rest in, that they may not have a grave to go and visit. Now, there is a huge concern that the corpses may not be recognizable and impossible to locate. Now, there are various reasons for this. First of all, because of the weather conditions that they've had to endure. Also, because of the ongoing military campaign, there is fear that wherever they are being held, those buildings may have collapsed, making it very, very difficult for their remains to be recovered. And because those that may be holding them captive could have been killed with the military campaign. So there is a lot of concern about whether or not we will be able to recover all the remains of those that are deceased. Meanwhile, yesterday, in a statement thanking President Trump for his role in securing the release of hostages in this, his 100th day of his presidency, former hostages thanked him and also spoke about the horrific conditions that they endured in captivity, calling it medieval torture. Now, last night, Arbel Yehud, one of the hostages that was released in the first phase of the ceasefire in January, spoke on the record for the first time. Her testimony is published in the Times of Israel. It is absolutely agonizing to read. She goes as far as to say that As for the female hostages, she says there are some things that it's better her parents don't hear about, and you can read into that what you want. But that was with regards specifically to the female hostages. I don't understand the silence of the world. I don't. So I ask you all to go onto the Times of Israel to read her testimony and to make sure that you hear or you read the testimonies of the hostages that have been released. Last night, the head of the Shin Bet, Ronen Bar, said that he will step down officially on the 15th of June. He cited personal reasons, or personal failure rather, for the attacks of the 7th of October. Now, President Herzog said that this is a reflection of responsible leadership, and opposition lawmakers have called on the Prime Minister, who has still yet to accept responsibility for the 7th of October, to follow suit and to step down. Meanwhile, the government have cancelled their case against Ronen Bar at the Supreme Court, saying that because he is stepping down, the case against him is null and void. The Israeli negotiators, led by Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer, landed in Cairo last night for the next round of hostage talks. Now, despite reports in media earlier today saying that there had been breakthroughs, both Israel and Hamas deny that any progress or breakthroughs have been made. Now, there's also grave concern that there is a lot of fake news out there, a lot of people and a lot of media outlets putting news out about negotiations and possible progress and what could be happening, and that this could actually be hindering the negotiations. So I think until it is absolutely final and all parties agree, we don't have a final consensus yet. And finally, at 8 p.m. tonight, a siren will ring out across the state of Israel, heralding in Memorial Day for fallen soldiers and victims of terror. I'm going to try and get through this without crying. Tomorrow, Israel will come to a standstill again at 11 a.m. for ceremonies across the country. Since the inception of the modern state of Israel, 25,420 servicemen, security personnel, IDF soldiers, and police have fallen in defense and protection of the state of Israel. 5,229 civilians have fallen as victims of terror, 79 since Memorial Day last year. It is an excruciatingly painful day for us in Israel. We understand too well the price that we have paid to live as free people in our nation state, in our ancient and ancestral homeland. Terror has touched every single one of us. There is none of us that are immune or don't know anybody who has been killed as a result of terror or who has fallen in defense of the state of Israel. And in the wake of the 7th of October, the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust in our own home, our state of Israel, in the most depraved and barbaric way, every single one of us knows somebody who is either being held captive or whose remains are held captive or who was released from captivity. It is also a painful day because every single one of us knows somebody or know several who have fallen in defense of the state of Israel. Personally, I know at least 6 families who have lost loved ones in this recent war. It's a day of solemn reflection. It is a day of solemn memorial. And it's a day where many of us will attend ceremonies either in cemeteries across the countries or in our cities to pay tribute to those who have fallen in defense of this country, to whom we owe a debt of gratitude that we can never, ever repay. They are the best of us. And what hurts the most when people accuse Israel of genocide is not just the erroneous accusation, which has been disproved, but the fact that these are our sons, our husbands, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our daughters, our mothers who are defending us. This is very, very close to each of us. And when they go out to fight for us, they do so at great risk to their lives. To those who have fallen in defense of the state of Israel, and to those murdered in terror attacks since the state of Israel was founded as the modern state in 1948, may your memory be eternally blessed. Let's take a look at today's audience question, and it comes from Lance in London. He says, Rolene, I'm not Jewish, but I can't help but notice that Israel's national holidays seem to be close together. Why is this? Well, that's a very pertinent question, Lance. So thank you for asking, and thank you for taking the time to get to know Israel. First of all, last week we commemorated Yom HaShoah, Israel's Holocaust Memorial Day, and that coincides with the start of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, according to the Hebrew calendar. And when the state was formed, it was decided that there will be Memorial Day, followed the next day by Independence Day. And tomorrow night, the mood of the country will change as best as it can under the current circumstances to usher in Memorial Day. And the reason is simple, because it is imprinted on us the price that we have paid for not having a state, a safe haven of our own. And then followed in quick succession of those who paid the ultimate price in order for us to have our freedom. And then this magnificent miracle that we have, this state that we have redeemed, that we have rebuilt, our ancient language that we have resurrected, that we have returned from exile to our ancestral homeland. And this year we will celebrate 77 years of independence. And when we look back on what has occurred after now nearly 19 months, it is not lost on us what a miracle this little country is. So I hope that answers your question, Lance. And a reminder to you, if you have a question, please pop it in the comments section below or be in touch with us via our social media. In the meantime, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page is at Lottle's site. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. We are on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks. Almost forgot that for a second there, guys. And on X at Lay of the Land 5. So guys, God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.